What's up, everyone? Thank you so much for clicking on this video. As you can tell, this is going to be a what I read in the month of October. I cannot believe it's already November. I will say this is more of a realistic month for people that don't read as much, at least in my opinion, because I just did not have a lot of time to read this month. I only read 8 books. I had family visit for about a week, so that took out a lot of my reading time. So I didn't read as much as I would have liked to. But most of my books were read on my Kindle. The last one I read of the month was actually a paperback. So I'm going to be going through what I read on here, even though they're not all on here now because some of them were just on Kindle Unlimited and it makes me return them when I want to get another one. I don't understand that and I don't know how to figure out how to get more books. So if anyone knows how you can have multiple books from Kindle Unlimited, more than whatever the amount is that's allowed, let me know. But the first book I read was Does It Hurt? I feel like I talked about this one a little bit ago, but I don't really remember for what video it was for. Anyways, it was good. I'm not going to explain it too much because, like I said, I know I already talked about this, and I think it was in my rating, my 41 books I've read this month. But I think I rated that like a 3 stars. It was more of a dark romancy type book, which I'm okay with. I like some of them. But I just did not really care for the storyline. It was so, I don't know. It just was not really that exciting to me. It was interesting a little bit, but the whole dynamic between the two just made me feel icky. The premise of the book is that the main character, who I do not remember her name or his name, I could not tell you. That's just how I am with books that don't really hold my attention that well. She steals people's identity. We don't know why in the beginning. And she meets this guy at a bar, they end up hooking up, and then she steals his identity. She ends up seeing him again somewhere, and he's pissed off. He knows that she stole his identity, or is trying to, and he takes her out on a boat and does some really strange stuff to try to get back at her, just to freak her out a little bit. But then they end up getting shipwrecked on this weird vacant island with only one other person there that they know of. So it's just a very interesting dynamic between them. It means they kind of hate each other, but they're trying to, figure out how to get off of this island. So that is what it's about. It's okay. I don't really recommend it, but that's just, if you're like me and you're not a huge fan of dark romance books, I'd probably not pick it up. So the next book I read was, let me look, Intercepts. I did a whole reading vlog on 4 of the books I read this past month. And so Intercepts was one of them. You can check out that book if you want, or not that book. You can check out that video if you want more details on the book. But I really enjoyed this one, actually. It was my top 2 out of the 4. I rated it 4 stars, I believe, or 4.5. And it was super interesting. I really liked the ending. It was so strange, which I probably should explain a little bit more before I tell you that I like the ending, because you have no idea what it's about. It's about this, it's like a facility, like a government type funded facility, I think. I could be wrong about that, but it's a weird facility that does tests on people, very inhumane tests. They cut off their nerve system somehow, so they can't really feel anything. They can't really see. It's super strange. I can't explain it very well, but I don't really understand why they were doing this. Like, I don't know the goal of why, and I kind of forgot what the goal was. Did they even tell us what the goal was? I don't know. The main character, again, I don't remember his name. He has a daughter. His ex-wife committed suicide, and so his daughter comes to live with him, and she just starts having lots of weird experiences. She keeps seeing a lady. She's like getting freaked out by this lady because no one else can see her, and it's about that, and the lady relates back to the institute, and just all sorts of strange stuff goes down with that. But the ending was sad, but it was also, I feel like it tied the story together so well, just so you see where they get the people that they are doing these experiments on. It was so interesting. And I actually would love for a second book for that, because I think they could, I don't know what they would do, but I think it was really good. But the ending was still, like, things concluded well, but I would have loved to see what happens next. Okay, next book I read was Brother by Anaya Alborn. I talked about this one as well. It was also another one of my books that was in my spooky video. And this was my all-time favorite out of the 4. Not my all-time favorite book ever. My favorite out of the 4 books I read, because it was creepy. It's kind of hard for me to explain this one. It's about this really messed up family. They murder young girls. It's super messed up. It starts off with them taking a girl, and one of the brothers helps out and, like, helps remove her body parts. You find out where that boy came from because he's not really a part of their family. And so you hear that, and he's just really, really manipulated and bossed around by his older brother, and it is just crazy. The whole story, I can't really explain too much about it, but it was so good, but it was a bit gory. And I rated it a 4.5 stars because I did not like the ending, as I said in my other video about it. I didn't care for it. If you like sad endings or just endings where nothing good happens, then you'll probably like it. But I hated it. So that ruined it from being a 5-star book for me because I can't do endings like that. It was just so messed up. But the way it all came together as well was very interesting. You find out who certain people are and how they're connected. Super good read. So I do recommend it. The next one I read was, looking at the Kindle by the way, if you were wondering what I'm looking at, was The Hollow Places. This one was my least favorite out of all of the 4 that I read. I'm not going to go into too much. If you want more information on this book, you can watch my other video because I don't feel like explaining it all. It just was boring. That's all I have to say about it. And I feel like the premise of that book could have been really, really well, like could have gone really well if the author would have just, I don't even know what she could have done differently. I just know it could have been so much better. That's all. It's pretty boring. The ending was pretty That's all I gotta say about it. It was just not my cup of tea. That one gets like a 2.5 stars for me. Next one I read was The Broken Places. That one was my 3rd favorite, so ranked number 3 out of the 4 of the books. And it was good. The story was all right. I think I went into that one too on the other video, so I'm not going to go too much into it. It's just about a guy, his family. He's the last one alive out of his family, so he goes to this cabin that was passed down to him from his uncle, and just a lot of weird stuff happens at the cabin, even when he was a kid and he would go there. It's just really weird. The animals are really strange. They don't act like normal animals, and they get stuck there in a snowstorm. Him and his 2 friends go out there, and just a lot of strange stuff happens there. And honestly, if I'm gonna be totally honest with y'all, I don't completely remember the ending anymore. I can't remember what happened to the main character. I remember what happened to his friends, but not him. So I feel bad about that, but it just didn't really stick with me that much, and I didn't feel a connection to the book at all. The one paperback book I read, which I still have a couple Kindle books to go, but I need to look them up because they're not on here, was this one, which I have been needing to read for so long. This is Clockwork Angel by Cassandra Clare. It's the first one in the Infernal Devices. Really good. I actually enjoyed this. It's super easy to get through, but I don't like paperbacks, so it was a little hard to get through. But the actual story itself was really interesting. I don't like Will. He's super annoying. I don't know how I'll ever like him. Let me know if you like him. I can't stand him in this book. He's an asshole. And I really am rooting for Jem and Tessa. But it's about this girl who goes out to live with her brother in London because their aunt died. So she's on her way there. And then her brother's not there to pick her up from the train station. It's these 2 weird people, and they're like, we have a note from your brother, we're supposed to pick you up. So she goes with them because it's her brother's handwriting. She believes them. She's captured. She is being trained to do some weird stuff with her body, and they're telling her she can do it. It's very painful, and basically she can turn into other people, like look like other people. I'm not really spoiling it because it's really early on in the book, but they're just making her do this really painful thing because they know she can do this for whatever reason. And then stuff goes from there, but I'm not going to give too much more away about it. You should read it though. It's really good. And now I'm on the second one. And unfortunately, I have to read the paperback because I can't get this on Kindle Unlimited, and it's full at my library on Libby, and it makes me so sad because if I could read it on Kindle, I know I'd get through this so fast. But I'm going to rate this one a 4 stars. It's good. It's just not my favorite fantasy book ever. And it feels more of a young adult read, which I think it is. And I never read this as a teenager like most people did. But it's still really good. And I love the cover. It's hard to see with the glare, but I love the spot. I'm like, look how beautiful. And they all match up so well. Moving on. Next book I read in October was called The Serpent and the Wings of the Night. I liked this book. This was the first one in the series. There's 2 of them to my knowledge. I think I rated it about a 4 stars. It's a vampire-based book, which I thought was really cool because I hadn't really read a true vampire book in so long. I'm going to try to recap what it was about best to my ability. So it's about this girl who, again, I can't remember her name. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, guys. She was taken as a young child by this vampire. He's like the ruler of wherever she goes to, and he went to destroy a bunch of the human people and saved her because he just felt like she was different, which we find out more about that later on. So she was raised by him for a long time, and then they have this competition, and I cannot remember, is it like the Hijari or something? I could have it totally wrong. For some reason I'm thinking it's called the Hijari. I don't know for sure, but it's this competition. It kind of reminds me of the Hunger Games where they all kill each other, because that is basically the point. There's little trials that they do, and there'll be one winner, and that winner will end up getting one wish from the goddess Nyaxia, and so they'll get a wish from her. The main character's goal is to win this and get the wish, and she wants to become a vampire because she's human. She feels like, you know, she could easily be killed at any minute's notice. That's the point of this book, okay? We watch her do this, and she meets a couple people, she teams up with a couple people, and it just goes from there. It is a good book. It just wasn't my favorite fantasy ever. The second book, which I'm going to get onto now, The Ashes and the Star-Cursed King. I'm not going to tell you much about this one because it will spoil the first book, because it's the second book in the series. I'll just say that I did not like it as much as the first one, but it doesn't get a bad rating from me. It gets about a 3 stars because the story itself is good, but it did feel a bit slow. I felt like there should have been more. That's all there is to it. That was all I read this month. 8 books. If I had to choose a favorite based on my ratings, I think it would be Brother, and a least favorite would be The Hollow Places. This one I think would be my second choice, and first for fantasy because it was really good as well, and I'm really into it. Easy to read. I will say the chapters are super long, at least in my opinion, and that is why I wish I could read this on a Kindle, because I love being able to see how much time I have left in a chapter. And just, I have a problem with paperbacks, which I'm sure other people do as well, where I will start a chapter, and when I'm about 1, 2, 3 pages in, I will flip through to see when the chapter ends. And it's usually at least 20 pages, if not more. And I hate that. I hate it being more than that in a paperback because it just feels like it takes me forever to get through, and then it kind of discourages me from reading it because I feel like it's just gonna, I don't know, just take me forever. And on a Kindle, it feels more of like a fun challenge when I see the time. And so I just wish I could get it on Libby, but like I said, they don't have it. I'm pretty bummed about that. Thank you all so much for watching this video. My next video is going to be a what I will read in November. It's already November 2nd, so I'm gonna get on that really quickly and hopefully have it up in a day or two after you see this. So yeah, thank y'all so much for watching this video, and I will see you in my next one. Bye.